And we have back in studio Mr Ang Hin Kee, who's on the Government Parliamentary Committee for Transport. So, Mr Ang, more higher income commuters appear to be taking public transport, as Minister Louis said. Reasons for this?
I think there are mainly two reasons. Number one, there are more stations that have been created, spreading across different housing estates, so that gives commuter better choice, perhaps even nearer some of the more five-room flat dwellers. Second option is also because I think there's also this arrangement of City Direct, which allows commuters to travel non-stop from their homes straight to the city. So that provides a better option for a lot of people who are prepared to pay a little bit more. Right. But from another angle, I think we also hear on the ground that some have made arrangements whereby the spouse will drop the other one in an MRT station because they are going in a different direction. That provides that particular option. So once you create the accessibility and the right economics that works, people's commuters' behavior will change. Yeah. And I'm happy to note that they have shifted back to, according to here, 63%. But that is also back to only 2004 standards, which is 63%. So we have only recovered from where we have landed at 59%. It's a recovery back to 24. So it's something to cheer about, but I think we have a long way to go to where we want to be of 75%.
But the goal still stands that, by 2030, 8 in 10 households will be within about 10 minutes walking distance from a train station.
Yes.
Okay. Overall, over the last 4 years, 14% increase in trips made on public transport, especially on trains. So are you optimistic about the strong growth?
I think for buses, you can see the constraint. Every bus has a limited capacity, and there's only so many buses the BSEP can push out in a short period of time. So train continue to be our main focal point. So whether more lines, more station, that would inevitably add up to the capacity for the public to take the train service. So that is the long-term goal. So every year, over the next 17 years or so, we are going to roll out one station constructed a year. And that's a massive amount of money and effort to put in to build those stations to ensure that more people find it easier to switch from private to public transport.
We also have issues of implementation. That would be one of the future challenges as well, wouldn't it, in terms of manpower?
I think recognizing the fact that this downtown line will be driverless, some would assume that therefore we are not facing manpower crunch as far as public transport is concerned. But the most important consideration is who is going to build those stations, who is going to make sure that those trains that are running are well maintained, the tracks are put in optimal conditions. So those technical people, the individuals who are running, building and ensuring that our train do not break down unnecessarily, those are key manpower which I feel that in our master plan for land transport, we should similarly have a land transport manpower plan in order to know where are we going to get these technical people to come on board to ensure that our public transport system runs efficiently and effectively.
Okay, Mr. Ang, we have a few questions for you from our Facebook viewers. We'll take about one or two. Andy is worried about overcrowding on trains. He asks, enough measures being taken to address this problem?
This year, we all understand that there is this rollout of the off-peak free train rides at key stations in downtown. That has taken some impact. I think that if we could get the economics right, we'll be able to shift consumer behavior. So having more trains will of course alleviate the constraints, as we mentioned earlier. So come 22nd December, we are looking with great anticipation to be able to release that bottleneck from other stations and other trains so that consumer will find it more pleasurable or more pleasing to take a train to their place of work or their place of live or their place of play. That should be capacity building to remove the constraint that we face at the trains today.
Okay, this one's about buses. Yong Jun thinks that 40 new bus services over the next 17 years will not be enough. What's your response to that, given that bus speeds also need to be improved?
We launched the $1.1 billion BSEP plan. Many have focused on new bus services as thinking that this 1.1 billion will provide new lines. Actually, the biggest impact I feel is to enhance existing bus services capacity, its frequency, as well as the room for individuals to take the bus. So BSEP is coming on stream very strongly. There's a lot of demand on the ground. for the bus enhancement services. So we hope that with this capacity building, it will help us provide better bus services. Recently, LTA also announced a very major transition, which is to create more bus lanes and give way to buses. Now, you can have the rules on the ground. What is important is motorists got to recognize that they got to change their behavior to allow public transport, be it buses, be it taxis, to be able to ferry other people in greater volume and frequency. So my call is for everybody to give way to buses, whether or not there is a marking on the ground, provide them that convenience, and more people will be able to move to their point of destination, and the private vehicle can, make use of the other space of the roads that is being provided for you.
Be a bit more considerate.
Yeah, so don't occupy the space for both buses and as well as ambulance.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ang, for coming in today.
Thank you very
Great
much.
having you. And that was Mr. Ang Hin Kee on our Land Transport Master Plan for the next 10 to 15 years. In other news today,